go. Okay, so let's get started in our usual way. We'll do something easy, like a G major scale or something that we know really, really well. And listen to it, make sure it's bang on the money in tune, etc. And then we'll move on from there. I'm going to keep my tuner on here so that we can be trustworthy. Just got to boot it up again. My tuner crashes all the time for some reason on my computer. I'm in tune. Now I should mention, we haven't talked a lot about tuning the violin, tuning the fiddle, and how to get it properly in tune. And I won't go on and on about it, but I will mention that I always try to use an average of bow speed and weight when I'm tuning my fiddle. So I try not to do it like this. See that? Because that's not going to give me an accurate reading on the tuner. Because as you guys know, the faster you move your bow, the more you heave into it, it can affect your intonation. So you want to make sure that even if you're going slow, or if you're just belting the notes out, it's not going to venture too far out of the middle. Now when I play slow, the little black arrow on my tunable tuner will go a little bit to the left of the middle. When I speed up the bow, it'll nudge a little bit to the right. And you can see when you really wallop it, it kind of goes to the right of the tuner. So you just want to make sure that even no matter what you're doing there, it kind of stays between the lines. Okay? So average of weight and speed of the bow when you're tuning your fiddle is really good. And then of course, hopefully you're all doing the double stop method. Till the end, okay? Because that's the things that people fight. And for intermediate players to be able to play with your double stops and tune your fiddle with the double stops would be optimal, okay? Anyway, that being said, let's play a G major scale. Nicely in tune, bang on the money. We'll do a slow tuner. Ready, go. Now we'll do the arpeggio with exactly the same level of success. Ready, go. My success rate was quite good on that one. I'm glad I tuned my fiddle first, that's for sure. Now, how's everybody feeling? Do you think we can speed her up a little bit and still have pretty good success? Okay, let's do it then. So we're going to do it now about this speed. Okay, and the arpeggio too. A 1, 2, here we go. Arpeggi, ready, go. Now, how did that go? Anybody fighting it? Anybody having trouble, struggling a little bit with that speed? No? Great. One thing I noticed during the arpeggio, I'm looking around at the windows here, avoid the funky chicken to change strings. Okay, try to do it just like we talked about there. Englishman drinking a cup of tea this way, and floppy floppy melt the hand this way. See that? That's how we're going to do it, especially with the arpeggio. Okay, a little faster. Now we're going to do it like this. All right? So let's make sure you got that low A in a good place. A 1, 2, 3, and... Ready, and... Alright, now I don't know about you, but that speed made me suffer a tiny bit. Did anybody notice? I had one sharp note and one flat note that I had to fix as we went along. How about you guys? Did you have pretty good success there, or was it a bit more of a struggle? Pretty good? That's great. So we're going to keep working on it. We're going to increase the speed. It's going to be great, okay? But before you know it, we'll be whipping up and down there pretty well in tune the whole time, like a good fiddler should be. Pretty well in tune. Anyway, okay, so now let's take a look at this A major. Okay, first of all, we're just going to play the straight up scale. We're going to do a slow mindful one, so we get to know some of these odd notes, like G sharp. G sharp is a weird sounding note. You got to get to know it. And a few other ones as well. G sharp on the E string is also kind of odd sounding. Some people find C sharp to be a bit off-putting. I don't know. Depends on your ear. But it is a challenge. So let's get this going. Now that's your low A to get the low A in tune. And we're going to go slow and we're going to tune. Ready? Go. I was very good, better than I expected myself to be. How are you guys feeling about the slow tuner? Doing pretty good? Let's do it again then, right away. Same speed and everything. Let's lock it in. Whatever you did, if it felt good, do it exactly the same way. Here's your low A. All right, let's do it. Ready? Go. Still feeling good? Really, really good. That's great. Now let's try our arpeggio. Not too fast, a very slow tuner one. Ready, go. Okay, now hopefully that went well. The people look cheerful, so that's good. So let's do it again to lock it in, because we're going to be working with this shape of the hand a lot. So let's do it again to lock it in. Same, everything the same. Same feeling on the hand, same sound. Ready, go. Okay, I had a couple of doozers there because I was distracted by snowdrifts coming against my window there. Let's do it one more time. I won't have any bad ones this time. Ready, go. Okay, A major arpeggio. Anybody having any problems? Notes that give you problems, or strings that give you problems, or Scottish music that you don't really enjoy, the key of A. Or,
a
yes.
really slippery bow, no matter how much I'm putting a rosin I'm putting on it.
Really? How old is your bow? When's the last time you had new hair?
2 years.
You might consider new hair.
Okay.
What the problem with the hair? The reason you got to replace it is that it's scaly, right? I don't know if you've ever seen it under a microscope, but it looks kind of like a snake with scales, right?
Okay.
And so the function is that when you put the rosin on, they used to think that the hair had all these thousands of little hairs that sticking out of it that tickled the string somehow to make the sound, but they've figured out that that's not the case. What it is that the rosin is what actually makes the sound on your fiddle.
Okay.
And so when you put the rosin on, it goes in between those scales, and the scales are what hold it there, right? And then it makes this surface of rosin that create the slip grip cycle on your string. So when you use your bow a lot, like me, it's like hours and hours, and you rosin it and you find it's not taking rosin anymore, it's probably because those scales are kind of worn off. They get kind of smoothed off after a while, or they get full of the old rosin and they won't take new rosin, and the old rosin is dried out. And I'm sure I've told you guys before, dried out rosin is worse than no rosin. It's the worst thing ever. The residue that's on there when it's all dried out is crystalline, creates squawks and whistles and all kinds of crazy sounds and stuff. But also, more importantly, it's like, when they salt the roads right after an ice storm, and there's a little slick kind of layer of stuff that's even slipperier than the ice below at first. That's what rosin residue is like. So if you find your fiddle is not or your bow is not taking rosin, it could be just because the hair is too old. It just won't take any more, so you need a rehair, right? In 2 years, I know, Susan, you do a bit of playing. You do at least a couple times a week, right?
Right, but I could practice a lot more.
Well, couldn't we all? My hours and hours of daily practice, of course, is one thing. Not. But anyway, so no, I know that you do like, you do a regular amount of playing. So 2 years, I would definitely consider getting a rehair. Okay, that might be why. Could be a number of other things too. Oh, one thing you should do, if you're having problems like that, one thing you should do is take your fiddle and wipe the residue off of your strings. Some people have a fancy cloth. I wear my cloth. It works just fine. So, because that residue I was talking about also gets on the string, and it's a bugger. And then if your bow is over rosined, it will leave a residue too. So that's how I test it. I just kind of go like this. And if there's a great big white stripe, I know there's too much on there. So, but you got to leave a little. It's a tricky thing, I had a teacher once that used to say, if you have too much rosin on the bow, it squeaks. If you have not enough rosin on the bow, it squeaks. So it is a tough one. It's also the kind. If your rosin, for instance, here's good, well stored rosin. These little plastic things are awesome. It keeps it airtight. It keeps it from drying out. If you have, that looks good. If you have one of those kind of pieces of cork with the rosin in between, and no covering on it or whatever in your case, that looks good, Susan. So that's probably pretty good. But if you have improperly stored rosin, it can dry out right away. And then, like I said, it's worse than no rosin. See, there's an example of stuff that might be dried out there, Karen. Now, you might keep it in a box or something and keep it from drying out, but many people don't. It just hangs around in the case, and then it can get really problematic.
And mine is just sitting in the case, so that's good to know.
Yeah, you might consider getting a fresh cake of rosin, especially since that's the stuff that comes with the fiddle. It's not even the nicest. I use something called Millant de Roux. This is what it looks like there. And it's French. And my friend Patrick Orseau is the one that put me onto it, actually. And it's really nice, middle of the road. So somebody had Heidersign there in the red box. The black. Okay, wow, look. What happened to your rosin, Deborah? Looks like
sanding.
It looks like it was in a knife fight.
It was. I was trying to get it so it wasn't so slippery. So I took the edge of my bow and I attacked it.
Oh, I would not recommend it.
Someone told me to do that, but anyways, it's a Bernardo.
Yep, that's good stuff. That's really good stuff. Sandy used to use that stuff.
So where did you go? Nice. Where did you buy that?
Just at Heinel, anywhere. Everywhere has it. Now, so somebody had the black Heidersign English rosin. That's okay. So that's really dark rosin. I have some of it here. No, that's not it.
What's the difference between the dark and the light?
Well, first of all, that's a great question. What do you got there? What is that?
It's called Polytria. Yeah, I don't know. It's about 4 years old.
And it's pretty dark, eh?
Yeah, it's black.
Yeah. Okay, black. There you go. That's a good example there. My dad always used the Heidersign English rosin, jet black. And so the difference is, first of all, the rosin that is black is made from tree sap that's collected late in the year. The darker maple syrup is the same stuff. So that's how they get it. It's stickier. So for instance, cello bows, the rosin that you buy for cello bows is only black. You can't get lighter stuff because they need it really, really sticky, because they got great big heavy strings that they got to get working. Same with bass rosin. Bass rosin is like tar. It's like really dark, very, very sticky. As opposed to this stuff, this is middle of the road, and I'll show you the color. Now, I have a cake of rosin here, and I don't know who owned it, because I inherited all these fiddles just before the pandemic, that once the pandemic is over, I'm going to be donating to the Strings Across the Sky organization, where we teach Native kids how to play the fiddle. And I love it. It's one of my favorite things I do. I haven't been able to do it for 2 years, and it sucks. But hopefully we'll get back there. But one of the fiddle cases had this rosin, and I thought, I can't remember who gave me the fiddle, but whoever it is the most patient person in the world. Look at that uniform 1/4 inch of rosin, whereas it usually starts out this big. See that? And this is like, wow. So that means that they didn't leave it at a gig. They didn't drop it, which is usually what I do with mine, you know. And they also turned it every time, because like my buddy Brian, he's got the sign of the cross, and it's not because he's Catholic. It's just because he doesn't turn the rosin as he uses it. So it gets this big trench, which I will tell you, some of you guys might have a trench going on, and it's not ideal. You don't really want to get rosin on the sides of your bow hair. See that? It kind of creates chaos because it sticks to your finger, and it gets the hair dirty and all that. So you're really supposed to avoid a trench. Yes, Mel?
I have Hill Dark rosin in it, but it comes in a fabric.
Yep.
Do I need to? Is that fabric? If I keep it closed, is that enough, or do I have to get a case?
No, it is, and I know the kind that you have, and it's got kind of a special fabric. Any of the kinds of rosin that you buy that like Salchow is like that. It doesn't come in a little box. It just has the fabric, but the fabric does keep in the moisture. It's meant for it. Okay. For this kind of rosin, it has the plastic box. Some of them have like the new Hydrasign, they have a little tin case, eh? And it's really good for keeping in the moisture as well. But I meant to show you this because this is a version of light rosin. You see how light that is? Not that sticky, okay? Some people really like that. They don't like a lot of bite. I like the middle. This rosin is really bang on in the middle. It's kind of like, you can't quite see through it, but it does have a little bit lighter texture to it, or color to it. And it is really the middle of the road for softness. And when I talk about softness, I mean the rosin itself. So you would never have to scrape it up or whatever. You just, it breaks in on its own, and it's nice and soft. It's the middle, you know. And then I don't have it with me. Oh, I might have it over here, actually. Oh, I don't. Oh, too bad. I did have for the longest time my dad's old cake of Hydrasign rosin that he always used, but I can't, and we moved, so I can't find it. But that's the blackest stuff and the most grabby stuff that I've ever seen. So, and the biggest takeaway about rosin that I'm going to tell you guys, oh, and I should demonstrate how to rosin your bow, just quickly. You take it, you peel back all the cloth, you put it in your hand, you do this, and you're done. And that's it. It's all you got to do. No more than that. It's all you need. 9 out of 10 rosin problems that I have noticed with students are caused by too much rosin rather than not enough. Okay? 9 out of 10 times people complain about a squeak or a grab or a something weird or a choke, and it's because they got too much on there. Very rarely have I seen it that there's not enough on there. Yes, Sue Leader. Can't hear you.
Too much rosin on your bow. Should you wipe it off? Like take a cloth and wipe it off?
Yeah, I just do it on my pant leg usually. Just, and very lightly. Because you don't want to kind of remove it from like all together. You just want to get that residue off. Just get the bulk of it off. Couple of, like 2 times very lightly is usually what I do. But I don't run into it very much. Yes, Pearl.
I don't know if this counts, but I have my regular rosin, but I also have a rosin somewhere, and it actually came with my violin.
Yeah.
Which I mentioned that it's like 286 years old now, this year, and the rosin actually is the same age, and I got it, and I tried to use it, and then I realized, oh, this is a mistake. It's very, very dry.
Well, it depends. So you really have 300-year-old rosin at your house?
Somewhere. I put it somewhere. I have 3 violin cases, so it's in one of them.
Well, let me tell you, I mean, that's a very interesting point. So, yes, you're right. It depends on the way it was stored. So if it was in a cardboard box and you pull it out 200 years later, no, it's not going to be any good on you anymore, unfortunately. But this type of rosin here that I was showing you, my friend Patrick Orso, his wife Julie, who is also an excellent fiddle player, she managed to find in a pawn shop in New York the same type, the same brand of rosin, but it's from 1920. And back in those days, the Melant de Roux rosin came in a little steel tin, right? Really beautiful, ornate little steel tin. And it was perfect at preserving the rosin. And also, people say, Patrick was telling me, that the formula they used and the ingredients they used in 1920 is far superior to anything they've ever used ever since. And certainly I have used a couple of licks of that rosin. Actually, every time I get near it, I ask if I can have a little lick of it. Because I lick the bow with it, say, twice, and it's plenty. And it's forgiving, and it's nice. It's really, really nice rosin. So, but that's the only time I've seen that. Apparently, it's a thing. Antique rosin is a thing. Finding the formula from the years, just like wine, right? Oh, they made great Chianti in 1926 or whatever, because they had the right grapes and all the conditions were right. It's the same with rosin. So, but it has to be cured or stored properly. If it's not, it's no good. Yes, Deborah.
So Piastro is good, right?
Oh yeah.
Piastro?
Yeah. You can use the stuff with the gold flakes in it. That's what my buddy Brian uses. Very, very good rosin, but I don't use it.
$31.
Yeah, they're all around the same price. This here is about $20 that I use. But you only have to buy it once in your life, right? So it's worth the investment. Now, I have heard from my violinist friends about very exclusive rosin. And apparently there's a guy down in New York. He's an Austrian guy. And he makes like 100 cakes of rosin a year, and everybody clamors over their mom for it, apparently.
Oh.
So they say, and each of the cakes is like $500 or something like that to get a cake of this rosin. The guy is backed up making rosin for the next 20 years. He's going to have to teach his kid to do it or something like that. You know what I mean? So you can go down that road. But for most of the professionals that I know, something like what Deborah mentioned there, Piastro, is very good rosin. Salchow from New York, Salchow. That would be the kind of go-to for most of the players, professional players that I know. I don't love it because I find it a little tiny bit grabby. I much prefer this, okay? But it really depends on the way you use your bow. Sandy McIntyre, he used the Salchow, and he used very small amount of bow, and he drove her, right? So he liked that bit of grab there. He liked that. He used it to great advantage. I find it too much. I like to do more with less. But it really depends on the player. Some people like the really light stuff, Other people like a lot of grab on there. But I always like Jerry Holland's joke about the light and the dark rosin. He used to say, I like the dark stuff, but it gives me heartburn. Anyway, okay. So that's the lesson about rosin. It is important. It's often overlooked, that's for sure. And I've seen so many people struggling with too much rosin on their bow. It's such an easy fix and just a simple misunderstanding. Yes, Deborah?
So we started off talking about restringing our bows.
Yep.
And so where is the best place in Toronto to send it to get it done, would you suggest?
I always take it to Heinel, downtown in Toronto. Now, up where you are, Deborah, there is a guy, and I know because my friend Sam DePache, who is my teacher helper when I go up to Manitoulin to teach the native kids up there. She's a really good fiddle player, a good teacher, and she knows a guy up there. I can put you in touch. Let me put you in touch with her. Yeah.
And if I can help at your school, let me know. I'm not far.
Oh, okay. I'll keep it in mind.
Obviously, I can't do very much, but if I can help in any way, let me know.
Oh, there's often opportunities like that. But she says that this guy up there is quite good. Apparently, he worked at Heinel or something like that, and so he's quite good. For Toronto-based people, the guy that does bows at Heinel studied in England for 7 years. He really is one of the authorities in Canada on rehair and bows in general. And also, though, he plays Irish flute, so he's a friend of the music. And he knows about fiddle rehairs, like the fact that we like them a little tiny bit shorter to give a little bit more tightness than a violin player would want. And they're very sensitive to that, and I find them to be the best. But apparently there's better, and I am anxious to try it sometime.
Do you have a go-to in London?
For people in London, well, you could check with Shane Cook. He would know. But I send most people out in that area of the world to Riedstra's in Kitchener. Because the guy, Henry Riedstra, he worked at Heinel for a long time. And I've seen his work. Everything I've seen coming out of there, very, very good. And they say the guy's real nice, too. Nice old guy, Henry Riedstra. I've never met him.
I live in Kitchener, so I go to Riedstra's.
You go to Riedstra's?
Yeah, they're pretty... They know their stuff. They're right.
Yeah, so there's a few good options for getting rehairs there in the province. But I'm sure there are more, but those are the ones that I've heard of. Anyway, back to work with the fiddle. Never mind the rosin. So let's see. So we're going to try now. We're going to try these this A major. We did our scale and arpeggio. And how's everybody feeling? It's pretty well kind of falling down the right place most of the time. So now we're going to try these double stops. Now let me put them up on my screen so that I don't play the wrong ones or something. I hope you like my calligraphy. Did my best job.
Can you put it up for all of us to see?
I will, yes.
Because I didn't have time to print it, it would be easier.
No problem. Oh, I don't know why it's called that. But anyway. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. Get rid of that. Make this really big. Can everybody see that okay? Good, good. I wrote the fingerings in too for the beginner people that still need fingerings, but I'm sure you guys can figure it out, especially with my excellent calligraphy. Anyway, so in this key, the first double stop is probably the hardest one, unfortunately. I thought we might as well get it out of the way right away. That's D1 and G1 at the same time. It's a fifth. That's what it sounds like. So I got the 1 on the G string and the D string at the same time. You see that? Okay. And if I twist my finger in a certain way, it comes out perfect fifth. That's what they call it, a perfect fifth. Okay, we've done it before. We've done it with the G scale, I think, or something. I can't remember, but we have done it. So that's the first one, the fifth. The next one is going to be the third. It is very tricky as well. C sharp on the G string and E on the D string. That's what it sounds like. And if you check out the shape of my hand here, you can see that I'm reaching well over to the other side of the G string with my finger so that I don't touch the D string with it when I'm trying to play that arpeggio. See that? It's right over on the other side of the string. And that's what it sounds like when it's in tune. Okay, the next one is a fourth. So that's D1 and open A. Pretty self-explanatory, easy to tune. Okay, the next one is a break. Thank God. Open A and open E. And but it is tricky, of course. And then you got C sharp and E together. Now that is a double stop that I use in the key of A all the time. See, very, very nice in the key of A. So that's A2 and open E. The last one is E3 and open A, an octave. So I wanted to get an octave in there. They're so easy to tune. And with any of these no-brainer ones, like the fifth or the fourth, practicing a little slide would be just excellent. It helps you hear when it came into tune. And also, it gets you started sliding into your notes, because you know when you listen to me, I'm sliding into everything. I'm a baseball player over here. Same with the octave. Okay, and then we come back down, open E, open A. A2, open E. Open E, open A again. D1 opening, G3, D1, and then the hardest one, the 5th. 1 finger, 2 notes. Okay, now I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a sec here and check in and make sure everybody understands what we're doing. Any questions about any of those double stop combinations?
You just sound like I'm killing cats.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Now, I will point out the 3 potential dangers where you feel like your cat's being strangled to death. And what it is, first of all, the first one, of course, is intonation, right? Because it's one thing to play a note just on its own. Right? Sounds fine, right? Everybody think that sounds fine? It's very, very sharp. Okay? So you don't notice. A note on its own, you don't notice. You could be out of tune, you don't even notice. When you go to play that note with another string, you really, really notice. See that? So that's the first danger. You got to be in tune. And if you're not going to like the sound of it. Okay? So you got to figure out which one is telling the truth and tune the other one to it. If you see that both of them are out of tune, like because it's a 2-finger one, then you tune the lower one first, bring the upper one into tune with it. Okay? That's how you handle that. So that's the first thing, intonation. The second thing is bearing down with the old bow. It can turn this into this. See, and it even flattened me. It's terrible. So that's when I'm bearing down there. You don't want, especially with the EA double stop, very light. Nice free ringing octave there. Nice light bow. Okay? And the third danger of making yourself sound like you're, like you're strangling a cat or whatever, is just kind of not being steady with the angle of your bow. That's the biggest thing, because it's kind of like driving. You know, when you first start driving and you go a little bit too far to the left, so you yank her over to the right, then you feel like you yank her over again, and you're like going all over the place. So the bow, being on 2 strings, can be like that. If you're on 2 strings and you leave one and then you overcorrect to get back to it, it's going to bear in and make that cat strangling sound again. Okay? The SPCA shows up at your house. So those are the 3 things. Because there's a lot going on with double stops. You got to boil it down. 3 things. Intonation, lightness of bow, and not overcorrecting. Okay? Let's do it again. Now, should I share my screen again here? Here we go. Okay, and we'll do 2 bows for each set of notes. I'm going to go nice and slow and tune them notes. Ready? Go. Okay, how'd we get along that time? Anybody having any problems? Besides having to do it a million times, probably. Everybody good with that? It's a start. It's a start. Let's do it one more time, and then we're going to try Big John and see if any of this foolishness helps us play Big John, because that's kind of the idea. That's why I thought it would be good. Ready, go. That is good practice, even for me. Okay, how we doing, people? It's going to be all right? You're going to figure it out? That's good. Okay, great. It'll be so good for you. And of course, there's more, but it's a good start. Now, let's see how this is going to help us play Big John. I'm sure just doing it, you could see what a help it's going to be once you get a few of these combinations down to make your job easier when you're playing all those notes down there on Big John. So let's give it a try. Let's do it 3 times. First time is nice and easy. Second time, pick it up a tiny bit. Third time, pushy, pushy. Okay? Let's see what happens. I'm going to put my tuner right up front and center here so I can give you guys something good to cheat off of. Okay, so let's start about this fast. Okay, we're going to go from there. Oh, there's Simone. That's good. Just in time for the brutal Big John McNeil. Oh, Melantaru. Thank you, Elizabeth, for putting that out. Bernardell is also very good. Sal Chow. That's great. People keeping track of what I say. Thank you. Excellent. Okay, Simone, you're going to have to jump into the deep end here with Big John McNeil. Okay. Yep, that's the speed we're going to start off with. And if anybody is really getting along well and it's a cakewalk for you, try to get it bang on in tune when we're going slow. See what's involved in that, okay? 1, 2, 3, and... Right. There's a lot of playing, yes. With shoveling arms on the go, too. Now, how are we doing with Big John? Anybody having problems even at the last speed that we played it? It looked okay, but I just want to check in because we're going to try it faster. Did anybody notice that the double stop practice helped? A little bit? Maybe you just have to do some more of it, I'd say. Okay, so let's go a little bit faster. Roll out the shoveling shoulders if you need to. And we're going to try it again a little tiny bit faster. See, even in the very, very first part of the tune, I'm using that double stop. See that? I have both fingers down there. And that's kind of one of the ways that I can get through this tune without a whole lot of extra work. Okay, so let's try it, say... Okay, and we're going to do it twice, so if you don't get it with the first barrel of the shotgun, you'll get it with the second. 1, 2, 3, go! Just cooking right along there. How's everybody feeling after all them 8 notes? Not too bad? Anybody having difficulty that a few thousand times won't fix?
I think one of the issues too is when you're playing and you question yourself, then you run into trouble because you lose your momentum. Yeah. Or the pattern.
Yes.
When I start to think about it, I put myself out of pattern is when I get trouble. So I just need to just play it.
I'm gonna say two things about that. First of all, fiddle players should not have a rear view mirror at all. Completely remove it from your apparatus, because that's, they used to say back in the pre-pandemic days, they used to say that music is a temporary art form, unlike painting or movies. You make it and it's gone. As soon as you make it, it's gone. It's out into the world and it's finished. It's over, never to be experienced again. Since the pandemic came along, most of our music is no longer a temporary art form. It's all streamed and saved on the internet for time immemorial. But I like the first idea of it being a temporary art form. Everything you do, it lasts for a second and then it's gone. So rather than kind of trying to fix those things that happen, or kind of stepping back to grab those mistakes up off the floor, just think about the next time it's coming. Much better. Plow on and remember that challenge the next time it comes, and you'll be much better for it because you will not have lost your momentum. Okay? So that's the first thing. No rear view mirror. If you make a mistake, my buddy Ross, I remember, Ross is an excellent piper. He's one of the best pipers in the world. But he's new to the Uilleann pipes, right? Not anymore. It's been about 10 years now, but at one time he was new to the Irish pipes. And I remember he had a problem with tempo. And we went in the studio for North Atlantic Drift's first record, and he was having a problem getting through this tune at a certain tempo. And I said to him, listen, man, it's 1944. The landing craft has gone onto the beach there in Normandy. The lid goes down, and you just got to go. And there could be licks that die on either side of you, but you can't help them. You just have to go. Just keep on going. And then after that, he was able to do it. He got through the take, and it was good. And that is really the only way. Because remember, unlike many kinds of music, our music is relentless eighth notes. Just keep coming and coming. So you got to make that the primary, most important thing, is that momentum of eighth notes. If you miss a few licks, you're no worse than anybody else. Doesn't matter. No big deal. Okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is this study that they've done recently about removing your cerebral cortex from the equation. Okay? And I saw it on, my kids were watching this show called Brainiacs or something like Brainwave, I think it's called. And it's a science show about the brain. And this woman did this amazing thought project where she had all these kids. She had their parents there. They're all adults. And they made this group of unsuspecting adults do an art project. It was a painting project. Just anything. Paint anything. And they were all kind of like caught unawares, very nervous and self-conscious, and they all did like a little bit of art, like a little bit, and that's it. Then they made the same group of people try to freestyle rap, make up rhymes, and it was a hilarious show. The attempts were hilarious, like very, very unsuccessful, but still they tried, and they did this freestyle rapping for about, 2 minutes each. And then they all had to go back and do an art project again. And each one of them produced better and more art after doing this thought experiment. And they explained afterwards it's because of the prefrontal cortex of your brain. They call it the cerebral cortex. And it's responsible for making executive decisions, for putting off gratification until your work is done, for making sure you don't do something that makes you in a bad position next week. All these considerations is what the front part of your brain does. So if you can remove that completely, then apparently your brain enters a state of flow where the synapses from the tune or whatever you're doing go straight to your limbs and it just comes out and you are secondary. And certainly when I am full bore going at a performance, my best performances that I can remember in my life have all been like that. Okay? Each one. For me, the difficulty is getting there. And when I was on tour with Magic of Ireland doing a show every night, 6 nights a week, that was the problem, getting to that place. Instead of like doing my fiddle solo and thinking about where I'm going to get breakfast the next morning. Because you're on the road. Then it goes out the window. Then it's boring to the listener and to you, because there's no life in it. And so I had to do things. You know, I had to do different approaches and little techniques to get in the mood for it every night. Be able to let my brain just take over and get rid of that prefrontal cortex and let the music come out. And, you know, it wasn't always successful, but it was a series of things. Go for a walk, listen to really great music before the show, get inspired. See what I mean? So that was usually the problem, not the other way around. Okay? So that's what I'm going to say about that, Deborah. Those two things. The first thing is forget it. If you make a mistake, leave it. We're going to do the tune like a good 3-4 times, so you'll have a chance to try it again. And then the other thing is trying to turn off this part of your brain. Okay? Anyway, very good. Anybody else have any problems at that speed? Yes, Pearl?
I'm having a little bit of difficulty between the transition from the end of part A to the beginning of part A.
Okay, so that's...
It's from the A to the A.
Okay, this is what I do. I actually do a pickup, and you probably hear me doing it, of an A flat. See that? And that might do it for you. So, see that? Otherwise, you gotta wait. See, there's a little wait there. It's an 8th note pause there, which is fine. If you want to do an 8th note pause, totally fine, but it's hard. Most people don't do it. They jump the gun. So it's better to add a pickup. See that? And then your rhythm doesn't get interrupted. Does that help, Pearl? Great.
Yes, thank you.
No problem.
Notice that.
It's a good question. Very good question. And it's a bit of a fiddle trick too, right? It's this sliding. It's just a dramatic one. Any other excellent questions like that? What a great question. Anybody else got anything like that? Okay, one more time and then we'll learn our hornpipe. We'll leave Trip to Windsor for another time because it's a hard tune. We'll get you a chance to get used to it. So now let's see. We'll do it 1 more or 3 more times again, but I'd like to start off a little faster and end a little faster. So let's start off. Okay, and we'll see where we go from there. I'm going to watch the faces and for the looks of terror. 1, 2, 3, and... everybody feeling now? Looking good. People had more staying power that time around. They stuck in there for longer. That's always a good sign. Okay, great. We'll leave that. We'll learn Trip to Windsor next time. Okay? Because it's a big bite to chew, and we talked all night tonight about rosin and questions and stuff like that. So let's move on to the hornpipe there, the Taylor's Twist that we did last time. Let's touch on that and make sure we got that going properly. I sure do miss teaching the native kids up Northern Ontario, man. That was great. I realized yesterday that a couple of them have by now, like by the end of this year, will be graduated out of that school. So I kind of lost my chance altogether with them. And there was one kid, Mason, who was in grade 8 when I was teaching him, who already played piano. Incredibly talented kid with his ears, just like figuring out tunes, figuring out songs, Beatles songs, just on his own. And I'm really sorry that I didn't get to keep working with him, you know. But I totally understand. They had absolutely no COVID in their community at all, so they kind of like didn't let anybody in, you know. Same with Parry Sound, the people in Parry Sound, and I missed that group of kids too. And I remember the lady that looked after the kids, like did their snack program and stuff like that. Really nice lady. I really got along really well with her, and I was telling her about the only thing I know about Parry Sound, which is the world's best soldier that ever lived was from Parry Sound, and he was an Ojibwe man called I can't remember, Francis Pegamagabo. That's what it was, and I totally mispronounced it when I was talking to her about it. And he's never been bettered. He was a sniper. He got more enemy kills than anybody ever did, including that American guy that they made the movie about. They wouldn't give him the Victoria Cross because he was native. He was Ojibwe. It was terrible. He ended up being a leader in his community afterwards and for his whole life and his family too. And this lady said, yeah, that was my great-grandfather. And I was like, are you serious? He was like, yep. We called him Peggy. Everybody called him Peggy. And anyway, I was shocked, and I was going on and on about the guy because I just he's an amazing man, you know. And I said, and I'd seen around town that you can get a T-shirt with his silhouette on the T-shirt, right? And I was like, geez, I've seen those, and I would love to get one of those. If you ever know where I could get one. The next day, 2 very large Native men showed up at the Friendship Center with the T-shirt and the book, and gave it to me, which was very nice. But the T-shirt is like 3 sizes too big. And I asked them, I said, do you have another size? And they said, no. Anyway, okay, here we go. We had a little break, and we're going to start in on the Taylor's Twist. I'm going to bring it up on my screen. Where we got that here? I always got to look for stuff. I'll get more organized. Here it is. Oh, that didn't take long. Okay. So I'll play it here just to remind you how it goes. And then we'll give it a try. Hornpipes are nice because they're forgiving. They're not too fast, even at the top speed. That's her. Remember that? Let's go. Nice and easy. We don't have to be in a hurry. And we're going to go slower even than the regular hornpipe speed, just as a review, because we only learned it last week. Okay, let's give it a go. Stop me if you have problems or questions. 1, 2, 3. right, so that was the nice and slow review. How did everybody do? Anybody having any particular problems with this tune? Excellent. Well, you know what that means. We're going to try her a little faster. Now, I was thinking about some things I do to dress it up, and there's one thing, like there's lots of things like rolls and stuff like that, but also there's a couple of things that people always do in this tune that I'm going to point out to you guys because you are intermediates, and some of you might want to get some of this stuff in. But in the first part, a lot of people play that there. So that's the last bar of the first line. Instead of you dress it up. You play some triplets. So you play C, D, C, B, C, B, A, B, A, right down the scale. See that? See that? So again, it's the C, D, C triplet, B, C, B triplet, A, B, A triplet, and then you finish the measure, G, F, E. See that? With the triplet of that too. So just thought I would point that out to anybody that wants to have a crack at it. And I can show you on my screen if you're still confused, which it looks like people are confused. So check this out. Whoops. So I'm talking about right here. So a lot of people that I play this tune with, just to dress up this bar, they'll play a triplet, 4 triplets. C, D, C, B, C, B, A, B, A, G, F, E. Sounds like this. Like that, okay? Really fun and not too hard. So that's, again, it's C, B, C, or sorry, C, D, C. Just 2, 3, 2 on the A string. 1, 2, 1. Open 1, open. Right down the scale. Okay, let's do it together, those that want to give it a try, okay? So just that bar, C, D, C. Ready, 2, 3, go, 2, 3. And then we're starting the second line. Let's do it again. Ready, 2, 3, go, 2, 3. Okay, let's do it one more time, just in case you might have got it. Ready, to go. So now, to put that in context, I'm just going to show you. I'm going to play the A part, and I'll put that in. Fits in there, eh? It's really, really fun thing to do. And it's, like I said, a lot of people that I know throw that in there at least once. Okay? Anyway, just on the back burner idea for you to put in there. Let me see what else I might be doing.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I have to ask. I'm sorry if I'm
No
slowing us
problem.
up.
No problem.
When you're doing that, so there's the notes, but you're throwing in an extra note?
Yeah.
You're throwing a note in between, like running up to it.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
It's like a scale in triplets, really, you know, like that I'm doing there. But you're right. I'm making a measure that's supposed to have 8 notes into one that has 12. Okay. All triplets. Anyway, okay. So why don't we give it another shot, and then people can try to get it in there. If you want. And if you don't want, that's fine too. But like I said, most people that I know do it at least once. And it is kind of fun. Why not? Nothing else to do. Okay. When you're playing a hornpipe, there's not much else to do except dress it up. Okay, so now let's try it just a little bit faster. I think we can handle it. Nobody looked like they were having trouble at all. 1, 2, 3. Okay, hold on. Now that looked great. I was watching you, and at least a bunch of you tried it. How did it work out? Yeah, and fun, eh? Fun as hell. Okay, let's do it again. Same thing. 1, 2, 3. Faster. Doing pretty good? Getting a few triplets in there sometimes, hopefully? That's great. Any questions about any of that? Anything at all?
Dan, after that set of triplets, you do something in the next bar. Like you sound like you throw in a few extra notes. So
oh, and I did indeed there. They have good ears. So basically what I do there, instead of... I go... See that? So I turn the D, the first D, in the first bar of the second line, I turn that D into a quarter note. And I get rid of the A altogether that comes after it, and I add an E in between the F and the D there to make it a triplet. See that? And it's an interesting triplet because I do this all the time. It's a really handy trick. When you have a triplet where you're going 2-1 open on a string, you can speed your bow up and it sounds almost like an ornament. See that? Has a great sound. So when I do that, I slur it, first of all. And I really flick my fingers like kind of like that to get a cracking sound. So see that? It's really, really nice thing to do. And again, any of these little changes that people make, it's because that wasn't mine. I got that off of my buddy Kim here. Or somebody else, God knows who. But the reason that we use these things is because it breaks up the repetition. So now that phrase is now slightly different than the first phrase, and it's more fun, more interesting. Okay? Does that answer your question, Bev? Good, good, good. All right, little tiny bit faster. Let's do it. You can work in some of that stuff if it's possible. Because we're encroaching on regular tempo here, guys. Regular tempo would be... Okay, so let's do this. Why don't we try it twice? And the second time is going to be close to that. Okay? It won't be all the way there, but it'll be close. Roll them out if you need to. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. I was enjoying that myself. Hopefully you guys were enjoying yourselves as well. How did we do with the tempo there? Pretty good? Now, you know, when the tempo goes faster, sometimes what suffers is, well, I don't know. What do you find suffers? Like, can somebody give me some examples? What suffers when the tempo goes up?
Intonation.
Intonation. Okay, yes. What about you, Sue? Oh,
accuracy.
You're gone again. Accuracy. Yes. What about Sue Leader? What did you going to say there, Sue?
I can't get those extra little things in. I have to go back to the basic version.
Yes.
But that's okay.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything that happens to them when they get fast? Yes.
Oh, I missed a whole bunch of notes.
You miss a whole bunch of notes.
And then I get to a spot where, okay, I know how to do that little bit.
Yeah. Okay. And now, one thing I'll say to you there, Karen, is I want the next time you miss a note or whatever, you miss a couple of notes and you freeze like that, I want you to identify like where it was. Because sometimes it's not, like, people get hopeless, eh? They talk to me, they're kind of like, oh, I don't know. When the tempo goes up, I just miss notes all over the place. One of the things people say is, my fingers go on top of each other. Or that my fingers get mixed up. But it's usually not that, It's usually just a slight misunderstanding of the melody somewhere, or some little zig that you thought was a zag, So what I find really good is to go, when you do, let those things happen, let those staggers happen, but just identify where they are and make sure it's not a misunderstanding. Some of the time it is just a freak whatever, right? But 9 times out of 10 when I'm working with people, it's because they think it has a different pickup, or they think it arpeggiates but it doesn't, like maybe 2 notes, that's it. So it could be an easy fix. Okay? Yes, Mel?
So, because I missed it last week, I'm still a little bit unsure of the third line and then the 1, 2, third bar in.
Okay.
How that goes. Like I'm screwing up something in there, and the timing is totally off from what I'm hearing you play.
The third bar in of the second part.
The third line down.
Yeah.
And third bar in. Yeah.
So what I can guarantee what's happening there. You're doing probably, now, you are muted, so it is a guess, but it's just my experience tells me that you're probably cutting off that dotted quarter note short. You're probably not holding it for its full 3 beats. That's a classic problem. Anybody in the Celtic Orchestra knows about that. And then the other thing is that triplet. So the way that bar is supposed to sound is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay? Now I'll sing it again. My singing is so good. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... See how that works there? Long, short, triplet, short, short. That's a good way to do it.
Can I hear you play that bar?
You mean you couldn't get it from my singing? Okay, I'm going to do it again. Does that make sense? Triplets are tough. Triplets are tricky. Yeah. So anyway, you can work with my video to get it really, really solidly there. Any other questions before we try it one last time? We'll learn the Plains of Boyle next time, okay? Because we're doing really good work on this tune as well. Any other bit? Oh, I was going to say, so the people that say that intonation suffers when they go fast, it's probably on the flat side, because that's what I notice. When people get faster, they get flatter. And the problem is that you're not bringing your finger pressure in time. Okay? Because especially if you're not used to using finger pressure, you usually hear the note for a little second and then tune it, right? But here we don't have time for that here, right? So you're failing to bring that last bit of pressure in. So I suggest to you people that have that problem, press harder across the board, especially third finger notes. Press harder. And you're more likely to get up into tune. Okay, you find that it's flat that you go to, and when it suffers, it's usually on the flat side. Yeah. That's what I've seen time and again. Okay, so let's do it one more time. See if any of these fixes are gonna work. All right. 1, 2, 3. pretty successful. Did those fixes help a little bit? Oh, it did. Great. And for you, Karen, we'll check in next time and see if there's anything else that's stopping you. But it's great if you were able to identify that. We'll check in with the intonation. Any other bits or pieces or questions or anything? Yes, Deborah.
So going down that little scale to get the triplets in the very last bar, when you're crossing over from an A over to the G, so how do you get that little triplet in? Because that's a little confusing to me. Because you're like going back.
Are you talking about the triplets in the first part?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Very last bar.
the very last bar. Let's see.
I got the first bar of that last bar. That's okay. That's easy. That's a nice easy one.
Oh no. Yeah. So you're thinking, but it's actually 2 3 2. 1 2 1. Open 1 open. D3 down we go.
What was the last one?
D3 D2 D1.
D1.
Yeah, and then the next bar starts on the open, and that completes the scale.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
2 3 2 1 2 1 0 1 0 open 1 D1 and then
Yeah, and then your D3 down the scale.
3 down the scale.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where I messed up. So it's just down the scale. That last one I was trying to make it work. It wasn't working. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting because like me and my friend Ross, we get into old records and we try to get them exactly bang on like the old fellas. And we always, our ear makes it more complicated than it is. Always. And that particular thing, it was another tune we were working on, and we thought this little flourish was like a crazy little kind of phrase, and then when we really, really listened, it was just a straight scale down.
Play those last 2 bars for me, please.
Sure.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
Anyway, that was really fun there, guys, tonight. It was really fun to talk about those bits and pieces and the timing and the double stops. Great work. Really good. So we'll get into it even more next time. We're going to work on Trip to Windsor, and we're going to learn that, what do you call it there? The other hornpipe. The, what is it? The Plains of Boyle, right? So take a look at them, get familiar, but I would like to teach you by ear, so avoid kind of just reading them straight off or whatever if you can. Doesn't really matter. We're going to go through it anyway, but it'll be great. Yes, Mel?
On a totally different note, I came across a group called the Child Ballads. Are you familiar with them at all?
Not the group, but I know what they are. They're ballads written in London in like the 1600s or whatever. Beautiful.
This guy collecting them all and putting them together on this site, sort of archiving them. So I was just curious.
Cool.
Before, so.
Oh, I have heard of them, and I have heard different groups perform them, and they're so cool, except that they're a little freaky, eh? Because it's like 1600s England, so there's like infanticide and everything else like that. It's very strange subject matter, witches and everything, but it is really cool. The Child's Ballads are really awesome. Anyway, thanks a million, guys. We'll see you next Monday. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.